What's up everyone, and welcome back to more Reddit stories about Karens, crazy people, and all that kind of stuff. So as usual, let's get right into today's Reddit posts. Left driver of jacked up truck stranded when we were pumping gas. I was pumping gas, left it running, and then started cleaning the bugs from my windshield. It was that time of year. This truck had pulled up behind me and the driver was an impatient jerk. He got out of his truck and walked up to the fuel handle. Gas was still running. He shut it off, pulled the nozzle out of my car and put it back in the pump station, and told me he was helping me get out of the way. I was on the passenger side of the car. I was startled and starting to walk back around to confront the guy. My son, 17 years old at the time, had been in the store and was walking back to the car when he saw what was going on. He walked over and said, "Dad, just leave, okay?" So I walked back around, got in, and started driving away, feeling like I may have avoided a fight. But as soon as we drove away, my son reached into his pocket and pulled out a keychain. The guy had left his door open, and while he was focused on me, my son reached in and grabbed the keychain out of the ignition to his truck. As we pulled out of the parking lot, we saw him running towards us. We drove about a half mile from there, and I pulled into a parking lot and walked over to the curbed main street and tossed his keys into the storm drain. Must have been 8 or 9 keys on there, so I'm sure he had fun replacing all that. Am I the asshole for embarrassing my husband's coworker for embarrassing me and my husband? A few months ago, after many years of trying to conceive, my husband, 32, and I, 33, had a gorgeous, healthy baby boy. My husband and I are black, which is pertinent to this story. We were over the moon, and family, friends, and coworkers had also been excited for us. Right after I delivered, my husband emailed a birth announcement with a photo of our son to everyone in his office. Fast forward a couple of weeks, and my husband came home fuming after his first day back at work. One of his coworkers informed him that another guy in the office, a new young employee my husband barely knew, had been telling everyone willing to listen that my husband couldn't be our son's father because, quote, "that baby is too light to be his and its hair is too long and straight. That's a white man's baby or an Asian's." This guy proceeded to tell everyone what a sucker my husband was, and that his excitement over finally becoming a dad was blinding him to the reality that he had been cheated on and his wife impregnated by another man. Side note, for anyone who's still unaware in 2025, black babies in general are fairly pale as newborns, and their skin will darken over the first few weeks. Hair changes to a curlier pattern are usually gradual as well. Our son was no exception, and is now my hub's mini-me. My husband said he had immediately confronted and questioned the guy, who completely denied saying anything inappropriate and claimed he only said as a joke the baby was too cute to be my husband's. But others in the office confirmed the first coworker's account. Not only that, the guy had tried to parlay his superior perception skills into some weird form of workplace clout. Fortunately, the guy got moved to a different shift that same week, so my husband didn't have to see him again. That is, until a company event this past weekend. Families were invited and we took our son. And who should come and insert himself into our group as we were chatting with the boss but Brown-Noser McMouth? He interrupted our conversation and introduced himself to the boss, shaking his hand. When I realized who he was, my anger came flooding back and I said, "I don't believe we've met, but aren't you the guy who went around telling everyone in the office I must have cheated on my husband with a white or Asian man and this couldn't be his son?" The guy went red and silent. Boss said to him, "See me in my office first thing Monday," and walked away. "I think someone's fired." My husband said I went too far because it was already over and done with. I said it wasn't done for me until I'd had my say, and I was the one being defamed, not him. Update. As for the fallout, Brown-Noser McMouth didn't get fired yesterday. They didn't have to fire him because he didn't show up for work. At some point between Saturday afternoon and Monday morning, he cleared out his cubicle and left his badge and company phone on the desk. I'm trying not to feel guilty by telling myself he learned a valuable life lesson, and will probably be a new and improved version of himself wherever he lands. So to be clear about this whole thing, the guy didn't even get fired, he just quit of his own volition. Because apparently he'd rather do that than face his boss after finding out what he was doing. So honestly, he did this to himself. OP shouldn't feel bad at all. He might not even have been fired either if he just talked to his boss and apologized for being inappropriate. But apparently he was too embarrassed and ashamed to even face his boss at all. Kicking my sister and her baby out after what she did to my dog. I, 29 male, have a golden retriever named Max. He's 3 years old and the friendliest, most well-behaved dog you could ask for. Recently, my sister, 25, went through a rough breakup and needed a place to stay with her 6-month-old baby. Of course, I let her move in rent-free as she's family. At first, everything was fine, but a few weeks ago I came home to find Max acting strange. He was hiding under the table, shaking, and wouldn't come when I called him. This was completely out of character for him. I asked my sister if she knew what happened, and she just shrugged, saying, "Oh, I had to teach him a lesson." That immediately set off alarm bells, so I pushed for more details. Eventually, she admitted that Max had been barking while the baby was napping, so she locked him in the bathroom with the lights off for hours to make him understand. We had such an argument over this. I told her that she does not get to discipline my dog, and that even if she did, that was a terrible way to treat a dog or any other living creature. She said it was fine and that Max was just a dog. We went back and forth and I eventually just told her that if she did anything like that again, she's out. A few weeks after that, I was just chatting with my neighbor as neighbors do, and he told me that he could hear shouting sometimes from my sister in my house, and my dog yelping as if in pain. I confronted her with this, and she told me that sometimes she firmly pats Max to get him to stop doing things, like barking or going up to the baby. So basically, she hits Max when I'm not around. I was furious. I told her she had 24 hours to pack her things and leave. That's when she lost it, saying she had nowhere else to go and accusing me of choosing a dog over my own sister. Now her parents are calling non-stop, saying I should be more understanding because she's a stressed-out single mom. Also, she ended up staying with our mother. I love my sister, but Max is my family too, and I won't tolerate anyone mistreating him. Good for you, OP, for staying true to your word that she was out if she did it again. After all, you did warn her and she didn't stop. Honestly though, taking it upon yourself to discipline someone else's pet without even consulting the owner first is already bad enough. If she had a problem with the way the dog was acting, then she should have told OP about it and they could see if they could work something out. But she didn't. She kept this all a secret and continued to treat the dog this way. And discipline probably isn't even the right word for this. A dog doesn't know why you trap them in a dark room for hours. That's not discipline, that's just sadistic, and it sounds like she was enjoying it. She was given a second chance, but she continued. Plus, she does have another place to stay, so it's not like she's out on the street with her baby. She's fine. You definitely did the right thing, OP. Why I'm glad deadbolts are a thing. This happened about a year or so ago. I have 3 kids who were around 9, 7, and 2 at the time, and also living with my husband. We live fairly rural in the UK, just on the outside of a small village. Every night I always check the door is locked, and sometimes even the chain put across as well. This night I was woken up very abruptly by a very harsh banging on the front door. At first I thought it was just someone drunk thinking it was their house, but they started trying to turn the handle. My husband went near the door and I stood on the stairs with my phone, in case I needed to call someone. My husband told the man that he had kids in here that were sleeping and to go away right now. The man started rambling and slightly slurring. It wasn't extreme slurring, but his voice wasn't quite right. Seemed clear he was either on something or mentally unwell. He kept asking for a certain woman's name, and my husband told him that there was no woman with that name here, and to go away now. The man kept saying we were hiding her and he was coming in. During this period, there was a lot of very strange sounds coming from behind the door. Thumping, scratching, and another sound I couldn't quite place. My husband then told him that I had called the police. He did a few more frantic thumps, then I assume left, because we heard nothing else. We didn't hear him attempting anything else like this with the neighbors either. For a few hours, I waited in case he came back. I had a tennis racket I'd have used if I had to, but luckily it didn't come to that. In the morning, as it was a weekend day, I decided to check outside, and honestly I did feel a little ill. There was a massive dent in the door, which I thought surely a fist alone couldn't have caused. Then on the door and the panels near the door was fingernail marks and blood. It wasn't a massive amount, but enough that it needed to be washed off. Took pictures first though. Between the door and where the bins were was a smashed ashtray, also with blood on it and in lots of pieces. One of the outdoor plants had also been tipped over, so plant and soil all over the floor. My blood ran cold how clearly aggressive this man was, and we have absolutely no reason to be targeted. We told our neighbors, who were absolutely horrified. They said they thought they heard something, but they thought it was a drunk. When we mentioned the woman's name, the neighbor said, "Oh, that's the woman who used to live where you do. She used to be into drugs and was involved with a few shady people. The neighbor reckons maybe one of her old drug-taking companions was searching for her. Now we have a video doorbell and alarms fitted, so at least now a button goes straight to a security system that if you don't answer will send the authorities. It didn't end in danger, but it so easily could have, and that's scary as hell. Woke up to the police kicking my door down. I woke up to someone pounding on my door so hard that it was making the walls shake, and by the time my brain realized what was happening, they kicked my door in and in came 4 officers to my apartment, screaming to come out. I walked out of my bedroom with only underwear on, and they had guns pulled on me telling me to put my hands up. They searched my whole apartment and kept asking me if anyone else is here. No. Someone on their radio was telling them the call information again, and who the quote, stabber was, and an officer said, "That's not you?" I told them no. He asked my name, and they all stopped and looked at each other. Turns out my neighbor called 911 saying he had been stabbed by his partner, and gave them my apartment number instead of theirs. Cops just said sorry, took my information, stood my door up to give me some privacy, then went and knocked on my neighbor's door, conveniently not kicked in. Happy Sunday morning, everyone. And that's going to be it for today, friends. Thank you for watching, I appreciate it. And as always, if you enjoyed, be sure to drop a like on the video and subscribe to the channel for more Reddit shenanigans. So take care, and I'll see you next time.